like, we're not going to beat Philly without him. I mean, how do you know? It's the NFL. How do you
Right.
know that? You don't know that. We have zero chance if he doesn't play. Zero. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, they don't. I don't think they realistically have a chance for a Super Bowl this year. But I mean,
Super Bowl, but
you know,
I'm talking about just straight up, just Philly people were like, we have no chance without him. I'm like,
listen, they're going to be in most of these games regardless. Because if their offense stays healthy, I think they're going to have a good offense. I think it's going to keep them in a lot of games. But when you get to the playoffs and competing in December and January, you know, I think that this team was already going to struggle there, and you know, this doesn't necessarily help, which is fine. That's fine. It is what it is. Oh, Mike from the UK. I know you wanted to jump in here, man. What are your thoughts?
Hey, how you doing? Oh, what a weird night. It's my head's all over the place. Like, part of me doesn't hate this.
What time is it there?
It's 1:30. This is I'm back at work next week, so this is the last week that I can get on. But
what a great time.
Of all the teams, it had to be them. I'm coming over week 4 to see Micah Parsons play against us. Why did it have to be them?
Right.
So, a friend of mine said earlier today, he said, if I was a betting man, I'd say Parsons is on the pitch, on the field for Dallas in week 3. And then an hour later, he messaged me and said, good job, I'm not a betting man. And that's how I found out. I don't know. Everything Jerry said about the DT position is right. We needed that. We needed that badly. But, I don't know.
But not, I wouldn't have traded Micah for a DT. I don't get attached to
he was
players.
Our best player, wasn't he?
To be honest with you either. Like, even with our trip to Oxnard, so many people were like, did you meet any players? And I'm like, I mean, a few, but like, I like the team. I don't really care about the players, but Micah was an important player, so to get rid of him, and then, I mean, we'll see. I would have liked to have like a second, or I really would have liked 2 firsts and 2 seconds so that you can move around, and even if they win the freaking Super Bowl 32, you get that pick, then you have something to move up with. You know, some things to
Okay,
play around with.
so
That's what I hate.
my question is, my question would be, Irene, if we were just, if nothing to do with Micah, if we were just trading for Clark, what would that have cost us?
Probably not much, because he had a bad year last year.
Yeah, 4 or 5. Probably.
I don't know.
He had a right foot injury that slowed his last year, but the year before that, he had 7.5 sacks from the interior. So
yeah, he's a good player. He's just aging. Yeah. That's all. He's just aging.
If you get 7.5 sacks and 7.5 sacks from Osa, which is, I think he's very capable of that. If you get 15 sacks on your interior and your depth on the edge is good, which it is, and apparently Flus said you can scheme up pressures, then that's the only reason. And I agree with you, Irene. I still care about the players. I just don't get attached to them. So I hear what you're saying, but I still care. Like, I want Micah to, like, everyone's like, even Jerry said, not to quote Jerry a ton, I want him to do well, just not against us. But like, I have nothing against him personally, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, but when you have at least wanted to get a top 10 DT in the league, at least a top 10.
I think he's close to being top 10, not last year, but the year before
2 years
that.
ago he was. And last year he had a foot.
Listen, I've got no problems necessarily with the DT part of it. My problem lies with the actual team that you traded him to and where your draft stock is going to be here in the next 2 years with these picks. The DT is a good player. Like, I have no beef with the DT. He's going to make this interior defensive line better. But it's not going to have the same impact as necessarily Micah Parsons. But the real issue is you just gave Green Bay the ultimate weapon, honestly.
Yeah, because you could have gone to you could have tried Seattle or Tennessee to get a DT from one of, because they both got young guys and veteran guys at their on their team. And
who's to say they didn't try? Who's to say they didn't try though too, right? Like, we don't know.
Were they willing to pay $47 a year, Dark? That's the thing. But that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like, maybe Green Bay, if this is a Mulugeta thing and Mulugeta has been pushing this whole train, I'm sure he talked to other teams. He basically, it sounds like Green Bay was the one that was willing to pay $47 a year.
Yeah. Hey, let me go to Sergeant Sue. I see he's got his hand up, and then I got to go to Mr.
going
Show
on,
Me
man?
State after that.
At ease. Yo, man. Yeah, that's my biggest issue as well, man. Sending him to Green Bay. It's a conference team. They're gonna be picking, at least, unless something happens, they're gonna be picking at least mid-20s. Sorry, my kid's over here running around naked. I'm about to put him in the shower. But yeah, man, it's just silly, man. And then, you send him to a team that's been putting belt to ass like multiple times and very, very recently to your team, in the playoffs. So it don't make a lot of sense. The things that Jerry said during his presser just now, sounded good. Like, yeah, like don't rule out using those picks for other players. You know what I mean? Or don't rule out this or that. Or now you have the money to pay these other guys. I get all that, man, but like it just don't make sense, man. The front office is pulling and pushing me away, like with almost everything that they do, man. It's just very confusing.
Yeah, their words don't align with their actions from earlier in the offseason.
Well,
It just seems
Dylan,
like it
I
was
think that
invented.
goes back to what you were saying, that this got personal at some point. I mean, the writing is totally on the wall, right? Like, Jerry got pissed off. And, I mean, even in the documentary, he explained that, right? He just told us a week ago in this fucking documentary about how he's a little, when he's fucking...
Nope. Did he just cut out? Can you all hear Jeremy?
Jeremy cut out. Mike, I saw your hand up though.
I think Michael was before me.
Oh,
Yeah, we got a lot of mics in here. Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
yep. Sorry.
I'm sorry, were you talking to me? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on? I just want to say shout out to all my fellow diehard Cowboys right here on this little chat right here. But look, I'm gonna stand by this. You mean I've been calling for this since last year. I've been saying this about trading Micah Parsons. But I will say I don't think they got what they could have got for him. But I like the move. I like the move a lot. And honestly, I think we're gonna target the quarterback because I just feel that with Stephen Jones, I feel like he's kind of taking more of a dominant role in the franchise, and I think he's pretty much done with all the talking and he wants to see some action. That's what I think, and I think if Dak Prescott doesn't get it together, in the playoffs this year, that's assuming we even make it. Then I think it's time to put up or shut up, and I think we're gonna go ahead and move up and get that quarterback. But I do think we could have got more, and I wish we would have. I was just talking to one of my boys, and he's a diehard Packers fan, and he was with me when in that playoff game when Green Bay smashed us. Man, he was clowning me the whole game, and he was so pissed that they gave up Kenny Clark, and I like Clark. I like the whole addition, but I just shout out to Micah Parsons for his time here and all of that, and just I like to welcome Kenny Clark and thank you guys for hearing me out, and God bless you all, and you guys have a good one. I'll be listening.
You were
Thanks,
on the
Michael.
Micah train for a long time, Michael. So you deserve some credit for that, I guess.
Michael, I do want to say one thing.
I just don't think he's a dog like that, and I mean I've discussed this a little bit on well, not discussed, excuse me, posted a little bit on the group, but I just don't. He just doesn't have it in him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I got it, Michael. The only thing I will push back on it about all of that is you saying about Steven wants to move on from Dak. You're stuck with Dak. They have no way of getting rid of him unless Dak chooses to leave or his contract runs out.
2028 is the first time you can cut him and have a reasonable cap hit, and that reasonable cap hit is $50 million dead cap in 2028. That's as cheap as it's going to get.
I was listening to 103 The Fan earlier, and I'm sorry, I know I'm probably off on my details, but they were saying something about that we can move on for him after this year, and it'll save like $60 million on the cap. And like I said, my bad, I don't know the details of what they were talking about.
Yeah, no, he just signed his extension last year, so he's just going into a new deal right now. All that restructured money from previous deals is rolling over, and so you can't cut him. And like the cheapest you can cut him is 2028, and it still is a huge blow.
Even if we're able to draft a quarterback and let him sit behind him for a year or so, you know what I mean? And I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea either.
I
but I want
think they draft a quarterback in 2027, so you're gonna have a 2026 draft.
That's more realistic. Yeah,
I think that would be when they would do it. This is my guess. You never know. Somebody falls to you. You're not gonna not take him. But I would say my guess would be 2027.
Arch.
But my issue with that though, man, is that like if that was your plan, like if that's what you're gonna use one of these first four or whatever, which I hope. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what you guys are saying, but I'm just saying like if that's what you're doing, then like it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me because you're not drafting players that are gonna help you now, right? So trading
Yeah.
Micah away, Jerry's like way of goodness gracious, justifying what he did is basically saying like trading Micah away allows you to have more cap room and allows you to have picks. And he also mentioned that like don't rule out us using these picks to go get somebody now, right? So he does still sound like he's in a win now mentality. If you use one of those first round picks to go get a quarterback, it doesn't sound like you're winning now. It sounds like you're building for the future. And if you're
I
building
go
for the
back to the
future-
Pickens. I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead. Keep
I'm
going.
saying if you're building for the future, it makes me question some of the moves that they've made up until this point. So I'm like, what are we doing? Are we building for the future or are we trying to win now? Because we're doing opposite things, and that's what's baffling about these decisions.
Right.
I'm not upset that they did it. I'm just upset that they're not sticking to a game plan, essentially.
Right. You traded for Pickens, who's on a 1-year deal, okay? And then you trade, so that means you're trying to win now because you just give up a 3rd-round pick for Pickens, okay? That's win now mode to me, right? It's a 1-year rental unless they extend him. But then you trade away possibly the best player on the team in Micah, so that's conflicting things that we're doing there. So now, does this extra cap space allow you to extend Pickens, who's, by the way, his agent is David Mulugeta, so that's going to be fun. But does that happen now? Like, those are the questions that I have. I thought this was a rudderless ship in 2024, and I thought they were back on track this offseason, but now I feel like I'm really confused on the direction of the team again at this point.
Wow, that
Yeah,
was good.
but Dylan, but devil's advocate, because I am not happy that Micah's gone, but we had a massive problem at DT, and we've got much less of a problem there now. But what we have got,
True.
not as good as Micah, or at least it's unknown, but we have got a lot of defensive end depth. So I don't know. Does this kind of make sense?
Well, what's the percentage that you got worse at edge, and what's the percentage that you got better at DT? I don't know if I can do that math right now. I have to sit down and think about that because that is a good question.
Yeah.
Right? They got, I would say, we didn't see much from their edges in the preseason, but they also obviously were playing vanilla. Some of the starters weren't out there. So we'll see. I think the first 3-4 weeks will be really telling on this pass rush and see how these edges actually play. I think we'll have a better answer at that point. But as of today, I think your edges got significantly worse, is my personal opinion. But your DT's got significantly better. So is it a wash? I don't think so. Mike is obviously a better overall player, does more than what a DT is going to do. But run defense is a problem. We've all been on these spaces. We've all asked for DT help for like 10 years now. We got it, but at the cost of Micah. So was it worth it? I don't know. Sounds like you're going in circles a little bit. I'm talking in circles because I don't know.
It's worth it, Lord, or I shouldn't say Lord. It's worth it, Dylan, if you stop.
No, it's Lord. No, I'm just kidding.
It's worth it if, to Mike's point, if they stop the run. And I will say this: from last year's DTs to even 2 years ago, you look at the DT depth chart now, and you're like, all right, that's actually even with Mozzie. I'm taking that on the chin, even with Mozzie. But you put that rotation of DTs between Winfrey, Mozzie, Toia, and then the 2 UCLA boys. You're actually okay. We're actually pretty solid in the middle up front now.
The other issue is the age, though, too, of the guy you just got. He's 30. So how much life does he have left in him in the NFL as a DT?
That'll be awesome if you could give these young guys some game and help them get better. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, bro. Excuse me.
Hey, let me get to some hands here. Irene,
Yeah,
I've been
Chris?
doing some. Are you paying attention?
I
Thank
don't know
you,
who came
co-host.
first, Chris or Joshua. Y'all can sort that out.
Oh, I guess I'll sort it out and just start talking.
There you go. I like it. Aggressive.
Hey, yeah, I'm a little perplexed over this. They just waived Flournoy.
Right?
The biggest story of the night.
Exactly. but y'all are talking about
Way to
Micah.
bury the lead there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I do. No, I'm not really flipping out over this move. I mean, I don't like it. I do see that we have some depth at defensive end and pass rush. Now, to your point, Dylan, there's not another Micah out there, obviously. But I'm not naive enough to think that. but not really that flipped out. And plus, what's done is done. I mean, hope something. I hope the Clark guy really pans out. That's the big thing. That could be the difference in this. And Mr. Travis down there, it takes a crisis to bring you back to the family. That's like every family, right? Good to
Hell
see you.
yeah.
Good to
Hey,
see you.
hey,
Good
hey!
to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. I was going. This team, you missed it earlier. Dylan said he was. This team has him question off. I was. That's most of my absence was. I had to take like a break from this team. And then the day I come back is the day that Mike is traded. But like the only reason I keep saying this, the only reason I'm back and the only reason I'm on Twitter is just for y'all. That's it.
Hey, I took a hiatus from going on spaces for about 2 weeks. The reason is because I got tired of hearing and talking about Micah. And then, of course, it's like, that's not going to, there's no way to get that out of the news. So I guess I'm just going to come back.
Yeah, I sense that in our spaces. I think there's a lot of annoyance, myself included, talking about Micah, but the conversation always circle back to him. There's just no avoiding it, unfortunately. So let me go to Joshua now. I think Joshua was next.
Hey y'all, it's good to link up with you again. Can you all
What's up,
hear me?
homie? Yes, sir. How you doing?
Not bad, man. Finally finished up that course has been, so I'll be back calling it and stuff. But yeah, man, I
Nice.
think like what bugs me most about this is like why wait so long to where other good players are off the market, right? If you're in a win now mentality, do this back in April, do this in March, like get this done early. It's the same thing we saw when they franchised Dak the first time, right? Like you're wasting time and money and ability to get good players in right now. Like I agree with a lot of what Jerry said about stopping the run and like not having flashy stats but winning games. But it's like a lot of the good players are off the board now, right? And like we need help at quarterback, at running back, at offensive and defensive line, and those players are gone now. That's what bugs me most.
Yeah, this seems like they got trapped in a corner, and I don't know. I just don't know what the plan was. It's again going back to this saying, it was a rudderless ship at the end of 2024. Didn't see the direction. Off season felt fine, but now I'm confused again. It's a very confusing process right now.
And honestly,
Steve,
kind of
I don't think.
it
Go
wasn't
ahead,
even
bro.
just it was like even Micah's side. It seemed like a little rudderless are if you believe what saying. Feel like now we're basically being like, hey, I would play your contract now, right? Like both sides get to be paying games. It's like it's a waste.
Yeah, there was. I mean, there's a lot of stories out there, right? A lot of information that we don't know, that we're not privy to. So we don't know what either side was really saying, what any of the truth is. We're just going off of what we're hearing, and who knows the direction that Mulugeta and Micah wanted to go. If they really were holding out, if they really approached with quote unquote empathy, like Micah said, and Jerry told them to either play this year on the contract or shut up. Who knows if any of that's true? So. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
David, I think you had something, right?
Yeah, I just want to touch on that real quick. That's why I don't think that necessarily they were backed into a corner necessarily. I mean, I think that Jerry said in his presser, like, and of course, I'm not just going based off what Jerry said, but he said that he gave a number, you know what I mean? They didn't like it, whatever. And per Jane Slater, Micah had said to her that he had gone up to them with empathy and kind of try to, saying like, kind of, rectify things and try to see if everything would be all right. And basically they said, play on the fifth or you can leave. You know what I mean? So it seems like, I mean, I don't always believe everything that Jerry says, of course, you know what I mean? But their stories are coinciding, you know what I mean? The same way that their stories, lined up whenever they were talking about the handshake deal that they had in March, you know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, Jerry and Steven and whoever made this decision, it seems like they were like, you know what? We always hold on to players. We always, you know what I mean, sign people, and then we don't have any room for the cap. And they're like, you know what, let's do something different. Like, and they decided to do that. You know what I mean? Whether that's the right choice or the wrong choice, I'm not really sure. But at least it seems like they didn't just kind of get backed into a corner. They decided to do this, and they stuck with it.
Or they got really emotional, like Dylan was referring to, right? I
Yeah,
That
still
but
think
wasn't
it
me.
leads back there. I
we
think it still leads back to Jerry got fucking pissed off at some point.
but you could be pissed off because things don't work out, and then what do you do after that? You say, okay, now what am I going to do going forward? You know what I mean? It's like I could
No,
be
yeah.
pissed off. You know what I mean? I could be pissed off that you know what I mean.
No, I just when you were talking about the motivation behind it, I don't think they had any intention of trading him back in March. But
Right.
after something fucking happened, pissed Jerry off to where he couldn't get past it. Just like I said earlier, when we watched the documentary a week ago and he was talking about the shit with Jimmy, it all came down to that thing that was said that he couldn't get fucking over, and even his wife gave him shit.
Yeah, and I don't, I don't
So
know.
I see that same fucking thing right here.
I agree with you that they weren't. I don't think they were planning on trading him in March, April, whenever it was, until probably recently is my guess. I don't know if it has to do with emotions. I don't know what it is, but something happened somewhere along the line. Maybe it's just it was a battle of attrition, and maybe Jerry just got tired of it. I mean, he looks like shit on the stage. Not to be mean, but I mean, the guy looks like he's defeated. He looks exhausted. He looks like Steven just beat the shit out of him.
Joe Biden vibes tonight, dude.
Yeah, he looks rough. He just looks like he's trying to put on his bravest face.
Apparently, a stage 4 cancer survivor out the blue. We found that out. Hey, Zach has his hand up, but we can't.
Let me go to Jerry's McGriddle or whatever his name is there. I gotta hear this. What's up, Jerry?
With that face.
I think he's salty.
Nice.
Hey! I'm not salty. I just wanted to chime in real quick and see what you guys think. So, listening to that press conference, there was 2 different times where he mentioned those picks, can also be turned into players. And I honestly don't think they're done. I think they're going to do something else with those picks. I don't think they're going to stand pat and just pick in the draft. I think they're probably going to try to either turn their picks or the Packers picks into something.
Yeah, Patrick, it would have to be. Come on. It would have to be. I mean, yeah, I guess the deal is still winnable if you can turn those around into something positive. I just don't know who the hell they would even target. No clue. I mean, what are their needs at this point, right?
I mean, if I put my little optimism spin on this, you guys, y'all know that I'm good at that. Well, I don't know if I'm good at it, but I do it all the time. I mean, the trade deadline isn't until November. You know what I mean? You have a couple of games to evaluate what you have on film. You have a couple of games to see what you got, see what's showing up, and if you need to at that point, then you're like, you know what, we have some extra draft capital. I think we actually might be able to make a little push. Let's go make a splash. Let's go do something. You know what I mean? Will they do that? I don't know. Like I tweeted that earlier, and I'm not really sure whether it's all just mouth work or if they're actually going to do something. And I don't know. My bad. My kids are out of the bath now, so they're distracting me. I'll mute up.
Realistically, if you take, let's just say you take 2 of those picks, who can you get, and what do you need to make this team better?
Well, that's my question. Yeah,
you can't have enough defensive linemen, in my opinion, and Namazi needs to go. It's done with him. He needs to go. They need to release him, do whatever, because at this point,
cosign.
Yeah, the defensive tackle.
He might not need to go. He might just be your inactive DT.
Well, we got to make a move to get this guy. No. Oh, I guess Micah's the move. They made the move. That's true.
They cut Flournoy.
But then they picked up some guard. Yeah, I guess it's all even so far.
Even Steven, but what's the guy named Mozzie? I think it was reported today that he is not likely to be on the 56 come game days. I don't know if that was Clarence today or somebody like that. Yeah. On the 46, yeah, he's not gonna get a jersey on game day.
Yeah, but you might as well keep him if that's the case, though.
Yeah, I don't think they'll let him go. Hey, let me go to EJ. I see EJ Savage got his hand up. What up, brother?
And don't forget Zach, because we can't see his hand.
I can't get him in here unless somebody drops off the mics. It's full. The slots are full, so somebody have to drop to get him into speaking. Unless my feed is just frozen. EJ, you here, brother?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on, man? What are your thoughts?
If I need to drop off so he can get on, let me know. But anyways, I was just I don't know where the conversations are at right now, but one thing I will say, if there is really any positives about this, is the cap space that you are saving. Now, I know the Joneses are not accustomed to using their cap space even when they have it to go and sign somebody, and you could be overly critical on Jerry for saying like, dude, if you wanted a DT, and that was the whole idea behind this trade, if you guys watched the press conference, and he was kept on blowing that up, we needed to stop the run. You could have went out and done that in free agency. But if there is anything to this, they do have cap space. They can roll that over to next year, help them sign some of the guys like Pickens, Smith, Bland. But honestly, the more I sit here and think about this, and I don't think it was the right move because I ultimately don't believe that they would have signed him for 47 annually. Um, but man, that is a lot of money, and I personally, this is just what I think. I don't think that he's $6-7 million more per year better than T.J. Watt or Miles Garrett. And I'm just
For
interested to see what
He
you guys
can't
think about
even
that.
stop the run, man. He can't stop the run. That's well noted.
Okay, so I get that, and that's fair. I just want to add that 47 is the Green Bay price. That wasn't going to be Dallas's price. That's
Yeah.
the Green Bay. For one, I'm in Green Bay to get you to come to Green Bay, and for two, we feel like we're close enough till you put us over the top, so we're willing to overpay. No different from when the Rams overpaid when they got Ramsey and all of those other players that they were paying. They were paying capital and they were overpaying to get. I think the Dallas number would have been closer to 43, 44.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that and I don't want to put all the blame on the agent for, not getting this deal done, but the only beneficiary, I guess you can say, Micah gets to go to a new team that's in a better situation to actually compete. But realistically, the money is not all that much different than he would have got in Dallas if you factor in the income tax state-wise, that it would be in Wisconsin. So that from right there, is why I'm saying kind of the agent talk, because the agent lives in Texas, so he's getting his money no matter what. Um, but yeah, I think that it just hurts your team from the standpoint of this year. But if you honestly think, hey, if we can stop the run, continue what we're doing, and if we feel there's a special generational type player next year or the year after that, we have the capital to combine our picks, go up and get somebody. Now that's if you are actually a competitive team and you're drafting in the mid 20s. And we assume that the Packers are going to be there as well in the mid 20s, to go up and get a player. But if, let's say, something happens to Dak, you're in full tank mode where you're going to have probably top 5 draft capital. So I don't know. I I'm back and forth because obviously Micah is probably the most talented player that we've had in a very, very long time for the team. But even with him on the team right now, we're not in the position to compete. So
100%.
that's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing. Is you can get mad at the Joneses, and I absolutely think they were wrong for trading him this late in the game. And I don't believe any of that bull crap that Jerry fed us. Oh, we were talking about this in the spring. Yeah, shut up. But if it is the fact that they couldn't find any type of agreement happening now, um, cut your losses, get the draft picks, and reload and try to do your best to continue to compete while you still have a window with Dak Prescott. Because realistically, it sucks to say, but Dak has been injury prone recently. So
Yep.
we're gonna see what he has, and he might be another piece that we move off of in 2 years. As crazy as that sounds, but if it doesn't work out with him, it's better to go full rebuild mode and not have all these top high end contracts on your books when you're still searching for a quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah,
I have a quick question, just Dylan or anybody that knows, and this may add context to what he just said about the money being negligible in Green Bay, and I've heard that reported. But does anybody know how the contracts affect your retirement pay? Does it matter that now I got this better, higher AAV or whatever the case may be when it comes to long-term pay? Obviously, I know it matters when for second and third contracts or whatever, or any subsequent contract. But do we know how that's factored in?
well, this sets up. First off, no, I don't know, but this sets up
I'm
your
pretty sure
next
it goes by.
contracts.
I'm pretty sure it goes by accrued seasons, man. Not their contract, not what they actually made, but accrued seasons.
I hate to be the attorney in the room, but I think that that's right. It's based on the seasons you've played, not the money you have in your contracts long term. I'm not 100% sure, but I can do some digging and
So you're telling me that the best players don't? Everybody gets the same amount of money no matter what.
Yeah, as far as
No,
retention and their retirement from the NFL, yes. Yes, it
yeah,
depends
it
on
is in the
accrued
season.
seasons. That's why the language with some of these contracts is so important. Like if Micah was going to sit out and he had to fake an injury, right? Or he wouldn't have got an accrued season.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Hey,
know
hey,
with
can we get to Zach because he has been having his hand up for a while,
yeah,
and
I'll
we
drop
can't
off
see
and
it. But
I'll
no,
let
you don't
Zach
have
go.
to. He is a speaker. We just can't see it for some
Okay.
reason. So Zach, speak up if you can, and if not, maybe you're a fake speaker. Okay, never mind. Joseph, go. We'll figure it out with Zach.
I know that Broadus has talked about. There's a couple of points that you guys have been talking about that I've been listening for a while, but I know Broadus had mentioned a year, or even maybe a year and a half ago, that there had been internal discussions about trading him. So there's always that. Additionally, someone had mentioned, the Mozzie thing. I think the thought process there is if you cut him, he's $7 million dead cap, and you still have to hire another player to replace him, so you're going to tack on another million or two there, and now he's all of a sudden costing $9 million against the cap when you count him and then the added players. So I think it's time to move on from him as well. I don't disagree, especially when you cut a player like Flournoy. But I think that plays into it, the $7 million, and we'll find out at 3:00 tomorrow when we see if Flournoy passes through waivers. I think the thought process there might be it's so late in the game that no one's going to make a waiver claim on Saturday before the first week of the season. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So those are just a couple of things that I was thinking about. Definitely not sure how I feel about it quite yet. So yeah.
Do you guys think there's so we only have 4 wide receivers on the roster, unless you count Jalen Brooks and Trayshawn Holden on practice squad. But I mean, their thinking must have been if we can't get Flournoy back, then we still have Brooks. That's the only reason I can think they would release a receiver.
Yeah,
I
Brooks
think the
and
thought
Holden.
process.
Yeah,
I
they
think
got
the thought process behind that is they know that they can get him back. And besides that, if you're on a practice squad, you get those 3 call-ups before you have to be active roster anyways. So I think that they know that Flournoy is going to clear through waivers. And realistically, these bottom end roster spots for wide receivers, typically they're valued more by the teams that know them and are accustomed to having them in their buildings than they are to the outside sources, unless it's a guy that has fallen in the draft because of some type of court case that was pending or something like that. Where he did have a draftable grade, but a team wouldn't touch him because of the pending case. And that's just not Flournoy. So yeah, I realistically, I think he will clear waivers.
Do you
And
know
just
how many spots are left on the practice squad? Is it 2 right now?
I'm not sure. I could probably search that up and get back.
and just
I
to
thought
touch
it
For
was
a guy like
one.
just to
for a
touch
guy
a
like
little bit
Flournoy,
on
though, you just cut someone else from the practice squad. That's not even a question.
and just to touch a little bit more on the Brooks and Flournoy thing. I know some of you guys might be tired of hearing me say this, but like I actually kind of really started to appreciate Jalen Brooks this training camp and this offseason. I thought he did really, really good. He was showing that he was a short-handed receiver, ran great routes, was obviously a deep threat, was Milton's favorite deep threat in the preseason. And he's also made this roster before. He's been on special teams. So like even if for whatever reason they couldn't get Flournoy back, I think that, the coaching staff and we all should be pretty comfortable with Brooks making this roster if they needed to, or just whatever the plans that they have for Brooks. I think he's going to excel at it this year.
Yeah, bottom roster wide receivers probably the least of the concerns at this point for this team. Those are going to be special teams players if they even make the active game day roster. But I know we all had high hopes for Flournoy, so it's interesting that he's cut again, so the team doesn't see obviously what the fans see every time. But we'll see if he ends up on the practice squad or not. Joshua, do you still have your hand up from earlier, or do you got something else you wanted to say?
No, man, I think it's been said so far. Thanks, though.
All right, cool.
Guys, we recently got Isaiah Land back, so it's completely fine.
Yeah, the land is back.
We don't even need Micah anymore because Isaiah Land, guys. You remember him, right?
It's
That
a
means
land
we won
man.
this. Hey, we won this trade by a landslide.
Yeah, I
Damn.
said honestly, like if the Packers get Sam Williams and we just put 11 on his back, they might not even know it's not Micah. We might still have Micah in the building. He just got to play under 54.
Yeah, it's worth a shot. Except I don't think Micah would like that.
I know there's a little sarcasm, EJ, but I actually was kind of happy that they got Land back. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
let's
it's a cool practice piece.
We just
let's
need
talk.
Justin Rogers back, and we'll be sitting pretty.
Let's talk post Micah trade. Post Micah trade. What's our feeling about this defense now for the 2025 season? Now that we've added some interior defensive line help, but we lost Micah. What are our thoughts?
Top 15 defense and a top 5 offense.
Really
Hey, I
scared
will
that
take
we're
that.
not gonna have pass rush. I don't. I hope we have
Hell,
pass
I'll
rush,
take that.
but I don't know.
Well,
I
I'm
take a
glad you
top
asked that
15
question.
defense, but that's high hopes. I think.
Fowler is really good. Okay, I like him. I don't know if Azaraku will. Azaraku's probably going to be good next year. I wouldn't say this year, because I think grown man strength and all.
Or maybe second half of this year, especially as a
Maybe
rusher.
yeah, maybe.
Eberflus has been raving about Nealon, his pass rush upside. So we'll see. I mean, I think they have enough. Especially if we can believe what they say about Flus being able to scheme some pressures. As long as that, I'll put it this way: I'm less worried. I don't know if you guys agree. I'm less worried about. And I know this is going to sound crazy because of the day. I'm actually less worried about Flus being able to manufacture some pressures and whatnot than I am about the run defense prior to. I think if they can stop the freaking run, they've got a shot. If you can't stop the run, you have no shot. And we all know this. That's why we got belt to ass by the
100%. I'll say
at least that gives us a chance.
The counter to that is when you're relying on your coach to manufacture, whether it's run defense via slants and twists and all that, or if it's pass rush, you got to manufacture whatever it might be. Eventually, you're going to run into a team with a coach that has watched the film and has figured it out. And you're playing chess, right? And it's checkmate, whatever the hell it's called, checkmate in chess, right? And that's what happened in 2023. And when you don't have necessarily the pieces, you're relying on scheme a lot. And personally, I'd rather have the pieces. I think this team has a lot of question marks as far as the pieces go. Linebacker, a lot of question marks. The secondary is not going to be good, at least to start the season. I don't have any faith in our safeties through the duration of the season. I don't have faith in our corners to start the season when Diggs gets healthy and comes back, which might be earlier than we all think, which is good news. Bland's out there. You got Elam. Maybe they'll be good. There's some potential there. Linebackers, there's potential. Defensive line, we'll see. You got worse today, in my opinion, but there's a lot of new faces there and a lot of young guys we're going to be counting on. So it's just question marks to me at this point. I don't really know what to expect. I don't expect a whole lot. I don't expect top 15 unless the offense can put up a bunch of points and force the other team to abandon the run early. That's the only chance I think this team has to be successful consistently. But again, that was a formula in 2023, and they fell on their faces in December and January with that formula.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, for the defense, I maybe I'm just not as bullish on this defense because they're unproven. You got a new DC here. You're learning new things. You can't trust Mozzie. And I know that Clark is a good piece, but last year he wasn't very good pass rushing or run stuffing. Last 4 years, he hasn't even posted above a 62 grade on PFF as far as run defense goes. So,
but last year he was dealing with that foot, EJ, from week 1 on. So
yeah, he had a toe injury or something like that, which I did see. But regardless, I don't like Jerry said in the presser, like one player doesn't make up your whole defense. So to act as if Clark is going to come here and solve all of our run defense problems is just disingenuous. So I'm more along the lines of like a bottom 15 defense, and that's just me being honest about it. But I will say, um, there's optimism from some of these young guys. If Overshown can actually get back and possibly play at the second half of the season, and you're in the position to make the playoffs and kind of get there, you do have some return of arms with some of these younger guys coming back. We'll see what Ravel is, but I don't anticipate him playing early on in the season. So there's a guy right there, Overshown, like I mentioned. Um, and I'm sure some other pieces are going to come into fruition whenever we get to trade deadline. If we are making a push, that the Joneses might be like, hey, we have this extra capital, we can afford to throw a fourth round pick for this guy that can help our team now. One thing I was really interested in during the press conference, though, and I just popped in here, so I don't know if you guys already talked about this, but Jerry was talking about how the coaches were a part of this trade. Does that make you guys kind of weary? Because, like, for me, hearing that, I'm kind of like, why does Brian Schottenheimer have any say in what happens with coach personnel right now? Like, he hasn't earned that right at all. So I was kind of like, on that. Of course, Eberflus was probably like, well, Micah makes my job easier, so I don't really want to get rid of him. But according to Jerry Jones, it was a unanimous decision. So do you think it was more about his off the field antics with the podcast, with the laying on the medical bench or whatever it was, and all of this stuff that the coaches were kind of fed up? Or do you think that's just Jerry talk?
I think Jerry's is full of shit. I
Yeah,
don't know
I
as
think
a
so.
head. I don't know as a coach you
think-
can look at a player like that and say, yeah, let's get rid of him. Like unanimously. There's got to be somebody in there that was fighting it.
Yeah.
I do think there were probably a lot of little things. I don't think it was one major thing, EJ, but I do think there may like this, like because like Dylan, you always say like we don't know. I do think there was enough smoke over the last couple of years of just things and Now I know it's just the same, but supposedly there were other people in the organization that weren't big. I'm just saying it's possible. Whether it's true or not, we're never probably gonna know. But I do think, to EJ's point, I think there were some people in the building. I go back to the Malik Cooker comments, which I know we don't have to rehash, but like there was that stuff. I just wonder if that stuff festers over enough time, like we just go, nah, it's not a big deal, whatever. I don't know. Maybe we didn't think this was gonna be possible for it to happen. And I do think, EJ, your point of Overshown was something I thought of today too. If you could get him back in any capacity, like I think he's shooting for Thanksgiving later in the year, I think he can do. He's not Micah, not saying that, but he can do some of those Micah things with those double A blitzes, and he can get some pass rush help out as well. So I think that's a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is like with the Mozzie thing, I almost wish that they would have tried to throw Mozzie like, hey, you're giving us a DT. Are you interested in Mozzie for, a late round compensation? So you could get something for Mozzie
Mm-hmm.
and you wouldn't have to just straight up cut him. And I know that's kind of out of left field, but there's that. And as far as coming back to the coaches, I think all the coaches were on board because Jerry was like, yeah, we're going to trade Michael Parsons. And they were like, Michael Parsons, yeah, do it. That's great compensation. But they didn't realize it was Micah Parsons. And that's probably where that came from.
EJ with the jokes tonight.
Yeah, see what you
I
did
love
there.
it. Hey, Mike's hand's been up, and then Josh, I think your hand is back up, but let's do Mike. 'Cause
Yeah, I'm going to have to go to bed in a minute, so I'll listen to all the rest tomorrow. But it's good stuff, everyone. Thank you. Listen, it's been a shit show for several weeks, and there's a part of me that's just glad it's over. Whatever the outcome is, at least now we know this is where we are. This is what we've got. Let's get on with it. Let's play some football. Let's stuff the Eagles. But yeah, it's a tough one to get your head round, isn't it? So yeah, I'm off to bed. Enjoy the rest of your chat, and I'll catch up with it tomorrow. Cheers.
Thanks, Mike. And you're right.
Let's crack on, Mike.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, I was gonna just bring up Overshown mainly and say, on top of Overshown, like when do we get him back is how I feel about the defense a lot. I did want to know, how did Ezraku look and Sam Williams look to the people who got to go to training camp. And the other thing I was going to talk about is Jalen Smith had his best year under Eberflus. And Eberflus developed some pretty good linebackers both in Chicago and in Indy, and in Dallas. So I guess, like, can the linebackers really become the strength of this defense if they're able to move freely? And then, like, if we get Overshown back before week 8, I think this defense is going to look very different than if he comes
Yeah.
back like well.
I think there's a good chance your linebackers become the strength, but the issue with the linebackers is that teams can knock them out of games. If they have enough receivers, good receivers to line up and beat your corners, they can put you in nickel and dime all game long and limit the amount of good linebackers you can put on the field at any given time, right? So my concern, it's all related, right? And so if the secondary can't show up, if the pass rush can't show up, then, you know, our team's going to be like, well, can we just attack these guys through the air and not deal with their good linebackers? And, you know, the alternate can be said too about the run defense. I know we just got the new 1T, so that's great news. Maybe that helps in the run defense. But if it's the other way around too. If teams want to line up and punch the ball right up the middle all game long, you know, can we stop that? There's just a lot of question marks right now, and I don't think any of us have any answers other than the fun speculation that we do. Come back around week 4 and we'll see what's up.
Literally, that's when we're playing Green Bay. We'll see it.
Yeah, after week 4, after the Green Bay game, we'll see if Micah Parsons gets 6 sacks or we just run the ball all over him.
Hey, I wanted to go back real quick when you guys were talking about the coaching staff, and I think nobody wants to get rid of him. I didn't think that, but I do think that they saw the potential that this could fucking split the locker room too. I think that was already kind of, I don't know, it was already kind of feeling that way, you know what I mean? Because you got, I don't know, situations like this can always like divide a team. And so if you're on the coaching staff and you're like seeing this potential powder keg, or we can, like you said, just cut our fucking losses and get what we can and go forward the season with positive energy and not have this cloud of our best player being pissed off all the time, you know?
EJ, EJ and everybody, do you guys think they also looked at this and they thought, because they sort of talked about this, but, and I know maybe some people, we debate run defense and whatnot with him. I also wonder, do we think it was a lot of money to pay to a guy, and maybe this is what they were thinking of, to a guy that we have seen him in a couple seasons wear down towards the end of the year? And what happened, like, how does he age when he's, you know, if he's 2-3 more years into this, is he still getting worn down? Like, to me, to EJ's point, I don't think right now I would take TJ Watt over him personally. Again, not saying Micah's great, but I like if he was Myles Garrett, then I'm super pissed today, because Myles Garrett to me is a guy that I could justify that to paying it to, because I'm not worried about him wearing down at the end of the year. So I just wonder if that was also maybe a thought or something to pay to that.
Let me just say, so, and Michael from Colton, California knows about this. We've been going on all day about this. What up, Michael? I'm not going to bore everybody with all the stats and the analytics and all that, but the argument of that he falls off at the end of the year, I think your second point is very valid about his age, okay? Because he is undersized, and I think as time goes on,
just
age will become an issue. But as of today, right now, every single analytic outside of just the box score, did he get sacks or not, when you actually put on the film and you look at the advanced analytics, there's like 8 different stats you can look at, analytics you can look at that indicate he does not fall off at the end of the seasons. It's the same problem he has all season as far as run defense. That doesn't matter if it's week 1, week 18. He's not very good in run defense, regardless of what time of the season it is. But his pass rush, he's still winning higher than everybody else in the NFL at the end of the season. He's still getting quarterback pressures. But what happens is, specifically in 2023, there's one stat and then I'll stop talking. Okay. In 2023, quarterbacks getting the ball out 2.5 seconds from weeks 12 and beyond. Okay. We all know it takes 3.8 seconds minimum on average to get a sack. So Micah Parsons is beating double teams. He's getting quarterback pressures. The secondary can't cover shit. So the quarterback's throwing the ball quickly, and teams schemed it that way. And it started in Seattle that season. We all saw Geno Smith dominate us in Seattle. Okay. So I put that on the DC. I put it on the corners. I put it on the coverage. Micah's winning still, right? We just don't see it in the box score. So that's my only point. I got 18 other things I can say about that, but I won't, like I said, bore you all with all that information. But I do think your point is very valid as far as age. He'll be, what is he, 28 right now, or 26?
He's 26.
26. So he'll be 30 at the end of this next contract, which is a very valid. I think he's probably okay until 30, but that's that point where you start seeing guys drop off, although he's undersized, so maybe the drop off comes sooner. So that's a good point.
That's the point. That's what I was wondering, is just maybe is the worry, and I should have clarified that, Dylan. Maybe I'm saying is the worry that the durability is going to fall off. I know he's like he gets smashed for the run defense. I'm not saying he's the best at it, but at the same time, I don't think he's better than those other two guys. But I'm just wondering, body type wise, is he going to, like, is the worry that he's possibly in the next 2 years, now they're doing 17 games a year, is he going to wear down faster as a smaller defensive end?
Yeah, it's a very valid concern.
Possibly.
Yeah, I agree. That could be
Yeah,
a concern.
and you're talking about possibly his greatest strength is that first step, and that stuff only gets worse with age. But yeah, he doesn't have very long arms, which if a lengthy offensive tackle is able to get his hands on him, then that kind of erases him to an aspect. But I think that's where his versatility lies, is just being able to be used all across the formation. And that quick first step allows him to get to the quarterback. He's winning on 20% of the rushes that he's going on, which is the best rate in the league. So that stuff, like Dylan said, all great. I do think though that you're hedging on, the best thing that you do here. And I know that we haven't hit on a lot of draft picks recently, but if you see, like, hey, Jerry sold it to you as a salesman. He said 4 first rounders in the next 2 years. If you are able to create any semblance of what happened those 2 years when you were able to get Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb back-to-back years, this could be a really good thing that juices you up with young talent that you don't have to pay instantly, once you
forget
get them in the
Tyler.
building.
Tyler
But
Smith was
it's hinging upon what they do. Now, I do kind of want to propose another question though, is Jerry, and I don't know if you guys hit this already, so sorry if you did, but Jerry did mention possibly packaging some picks and going and getting another player. How do you guys feel about a Max Crosby, somebody like that still very productive pass rusher, but you can also get him at a much more discounted rate, better against the run, and you are allowing yourself to get a Kenny Clark, and you probably aren't paying nearly the amount that you would have, um, you know, knowing that you have the picks to allocate if you want to, and send one of those Green Bay picks.
That
Do
would
you think
intrigue me.
that do you think that'd be more of a trade deadline to kind of see, like I think Sue was saying earlier, kind of see where we are in the season, then also be able to see where some of those teams are that are willing to maybe move somebody? Because maybe it's an opportunity, knowing you have those assets in your back pocket. Maybe it's not a first you have to give up. Maybe it's in the middle of the year and you're like, hey, are you willing to give up your defensive end of Brian Burns for a second? Not that, just that was an example, like a second or whatever. But I'm saying, I wonder, to your point, EJ, is like maybe we get in the middle of the year and it gives them more flexibility to be like, okay, well, maybe we can give up a third or a second for another veteran guy too.
Yeah.
And I'm also
Can I
interested in
touch on that really quick?
like a safety. Impact safety would be awesome. Go
Can
ahead.
I jump in on that real quick? And that's what I was talking about. Like, we do have, like you guys already mentioned, we do have a lot of question marks about this defense. I do think that adding a DT, I mean, we did add a lot of linebackers, and I was optimistic about that. But everybody's argument against that was that, oh, the linebackers aren't going to be able to do anything if they got defensive tackles in their lap. Well, now you kind of fix that problem, and then after a couple games, we can kind of see where we're at, and if we need to make a trade before the trade deadline, now we're in a position to be able to do so.
Yeah,
I
I don't
like
know.
that.
I think that one of the things that you definitely don't want to do as Jerry, and I know this is going to be hard for him, but if let's say Max Crosby is the target, you do not want to create a sense of, desperate sense to the Raiders by calling them first and saying, "What would you want for Max Crosby?" Because they know if you're calling them like that, then they can hold a king's ransom for him and get you to pay more than you really should. So if let's say that we are kind of chugging along a little bit, and the Raiders, presumably they're not going to be all that great, even though they got the new coaching staff, they got Genty, they got some young pieces there, and Geno Smith as well. But let's say that they're not doing as well, they're in a really tough division. Then you can kind of get them on the line and say, "Hey, interested in moving Max Crosby? We're kind of starting off the season really well, seeing maybe he's the piece that we need. What would be the price?" And that's where you can kind of get a discount, because it is towards the trade deadline. It's in the season, but you're also seeing the long play and going after a guy that helps you get some of that pass rush back with losing Michael Parsons, but also tells Dak that, hey, we're still here for you. We're still going to try to build a team that is, comparable to some of these big heavy hitters here on the NFC side. But right now, I don't realistically see any way possible that Dak Prescott honestly is sitting in his room right now saying, "Yeah, we got better today."
Yeah, agree. Hey, I saw Dark's hand up, and then Joseph.
Yeah, I just wanted Dylan and y'all made a lot of my points about the stats and all that other stuff, but I did want to add for context, we try to it's easy for some people to see the counting numbers and say that TJ Watt is better than Micah or you prefer him or even Miles, who I agree with Miles. I don't necessarily agree with Watt and some of the other players that they can compare to him, but the style of defense and who they're playing next to matters. Cam Hayward is one of the best DTs in the league, and TJ benefits from playing against him and playing a lot of times in the more 3-4 style with TJ, as well as the Cleveland Browns' whole defensive line was one of the top ones in the league, independent of Myles Garrett, even in the games he's out. So Micah has not had that benefit. We haven't been able to see him with top level talent across especially in the defensive interior. So, I want to caution us as we compare and say who's better. And
You guys probably can't hear me. The rain is too bad.
Oh, I could hear you for a second there.
You got a little bit of background
Adam
noise.
That sounded good. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's out on my windshield here. I think it's interesting to consider